What is going on, everyone? We are back with another review, and in this one, we are reviewing the Twilight Zone Season 1, Episode 14, with Third from the Sun. This was, before we get any further, please remember to check the link in the description below. If you're on YouTube, that'll send you over to the Patreon, and everything on the Patreon comes out a full week earlier. And we are cutting things extremely close with recording time as far as being able to put things out. Armchair Thriller has really thrown things out of whack, and we may end up missing a day or two here. So hopefully we can get things under control and reeled back. And I was almost, what you guys don't understand is I was almost 2 full weeks ahead on recordings, and now all of a sudden, I'm about to upload tomorrow's video, and this was the day after's video. So and I won't be able to record again until Tuesday night. So, getting close. We're getting close. Anyways, so this was called Third from the Sun. This is directed by Richard Bear. It's based on a short story by Richard Matheson. Teleplay was done by Rod Serling. And the original release date for this episode was January 8th, 1960. So, basically, the synopsis of the story, spoilers filled, so please note that. We start off with a guy who seems to be getting out of work. Once he gets out of work, this other guy approaches him and seems to be talking about impending doom that is about to happen upon the planet. The guy gets home. Daughter wants to have like an after work dance with him. He says he can't do it. His wife comes in and they talk for a minute. The daughter leaves the room and he tells the wife, "We're leaving tonight. We're taking the daughter with us. She's got to cancel her plans. We're not going to tell her until it happens. We have a ship that's going to be picking us up, and friend's going to come over at around 11. We're going to play cards, and then we're going to leave." The friend shows up and is like, "Hey, can we talk for a minute?" So they pretend like his watch is broken, turn on a machine, and talk amongst each other and talk about how they're going to be leaving on a ship, and that they have to leave sooner than planned because the guy that was originally going to do it, his schedule changed. So they then proceed to, it looks like, be spied upon by the guy that was in the very early episode. And come nighttime, they meet, they play cards. Somebody rings the doorbell, and it ends up being the guy that was at the beginning of the episode, and the guy that was spying on him, and he is alluding to the fact that he knows what's going on, but they're not. They're playing along, and like, no, we're playing it on. Dude owes me money. One of the not the main guy, but the friend is like, yeah, my main guy owes me money. We'll plan on paying me back next week. And the guy's like, oh, you're planning pretty far out ahead, like again alluding to the fact that the world's going to end. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and walk home. Talk to you guys later. He leaves. They all scramble to get all their things together. They get out in the car. They leave. They get to the site of where the spaceship is. Looks like your classic UFO. And they say, yeah. They get there. Guy flashes his flashlight. They flash their lights at them. As they stand at the fence waiting to get in, guy approaches. It's the guy again from the beginning. He's got a gun pointed at him. And he's like, all right, so I'm going to have you guys get back in the car. Ladies, I need you to get out of the car. Me and the men got a place to go speak with the authorities. The lady swings open the door, hits the guy with the gun. They take the gun from him, knock him out, drive up to the ship super quick, hop out. As they're approaching the ship, they have to knock out a couple security guards. They get on the ship takes off. And as they're flying through space, they're like, all right, our next destination is a place where they mentioned earlier in the episode too that the place that they plan on going is a place that they found with life on it, and they speak a language very similar to theirs, so forth and so on. And then you find out, as I predicted very early on in the episode, that they're destined to go to Earth. So there were aliens that haven't gone to Earth yet. This is honestly a very similar story setup overall. Okay, maybe not setup, maybe different. Same base plot line where whoever the main character is going to planet Earth because they're aliens. It's the second time we've seen the story. The first time was in Goosebumps. Welcome to Camp Nowhere, Camp Nightmare, Nowhere or Nightmare. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. I want to say Nowhere though, but I'm pretty sure it was probably Nightmare. Welcome to Camp Nightmare. Night Moon. Welcome to Camp Night Moon. Nightmare. Anyways, regardless, that ended the same way. That was the two-part episode. One of the two-part episodes. I think it was the first two-part episode that we ran it. Not the first, because that belonged to the Haunted Mask. But anyways, as I was saying, with it being as predictable as it was, I'm not as big a fan. Because again, I did predict that. I also predicted as the guy was walking up to the fence, like it's going to be the guy from earlier. And it's always... So here's the thing. Obviously, the destination itself isn't near as important as the journey to get there. And the journey was okay. I feel like it was a very predictable journey. Right? And I think that's where it falls apart for me. I've seen this story before. I don't know. It just wasn't that great. Again, it probably falls in the middle of the pack for me for right now, as far as everything we've seen from the Twilight Zone. I just wish it wasn't as predictable. I wish, again, 1970s writing, 1960s writing. I'm sorry, I keep dating this 10 years further ahead than it really is. 1950s, 60s writing just wasn't as in-depth and smartly put together. I mean, we still run across some things that are really intelligent and really smartly done. But, again, we're talking about early on in horror history, and it still isn't even technically horror, so it just straddles that line of horror. So yeah, the next one we will watch from the Twilight Zone. So for those of you that end up watching it, I ended up having to break up the Nun episode of the Armchair Thriller into two parts, which I really didn't want to do and did not plan to do. It had nothing to do with me being tired or me not wanting to do it, or me not wanting to watch all of that story at once. The big problem that I ran into was where I was watching it, the episodes were starting to come through extremely shoddy. Like it was not letting me watch the episodes for whatever reason. So I found a way to get the episodes. The last 3 episodes out of the 6. That will be the next thing that we watch, which will wrap that up. The next Twilight Zone episode is I shot an arrow into the air. And then in 1 or 2 parts, depending on if I've got time this week, that's the big if. In 1 or 2 parts, we will be covering the last Armchair Thriller story. And then it's on to something new. And then it'll be back to the Twilight Zone. So, yeah. I'm super excited to see even more episodes of the Twilight Zone. This, like I said, this isn't terrible. It's not like bad. It's just something I feel like I've seen before in terms of other stories that have done it, and maybe even done it better. So, that is going to do it, guys. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.